Yes, the rhetoric continues to flare, and now some experts are saying openly that the world is on the cusp of war. A currency war, anyway. This because central banks in Japan, Taiwan, and South Korea have recently intervened to reduce the value of their currencies. At the same time, currencies from economies like Brazil and China are considered some of the most overrated in the world. At stake in this war are trade imbalances, pricing of consumer goods, and potentially even jobs. London-based analyst Ralph.
This is really a global issue because right now, of course, every country in the world would like to have a weaker currency because they can't really put down interest rates anymore. We are at very, very low levels. And you can also question if you can increase the budget deficits anymore with the big state deficits that we have. So really one of the only tools that are left for countries to stimulate their economy is the exchange rate. And of course, everybody would like to do it. But of course, if everybody does it at the same time, it may not be such a good thing. But that's really the background behind all this currency talk.
One of the impacts of the recent currency war on Singapore is the loss of confidence in the US dollar. Since the economic recession that has gripped the whole world, for some time, the US dollar has been regarded as a safe haven for investment because it is the world's major currency as well as being the world's reserve currency. Therefore, people are willing to put their money in the US dollar at a time where all the other major currencies are sliding against it. Only make profit rather if the US dollar continues to appreciate. However, that is not any guarantee because the US Federal Reserve has the ability to choose what policy to adopt to appreciate or to depreciate its currency. Therefore, when the Fed decided to use quantitative easing as a method to improve the American economy, the US dollar slid, especially against the Sing dollar. Therefore, there is an unexpected turn of profit. There is a profit expectation which has soured to a loss-making experience for many investors because the value of $1 US has now dropped in terms of Singapore dollars. As a result, many people lose some of their investment. This in turn leads to a loss in confidence of the US dollar as people feel that the US dollar is uncertain and unpredictable and fear investing in it do not have faith in investing in it because they feel that there is no profit to be made from investing in the dollar and that only loss can be made. Therefore, the loss of confidence in the US dollar is an impact. Another impact of the recent currency war on Singapore is the lost confidence in the US as a global leader. The US has been a global leader since the First World War. People all over the world look to it as to take direction and steps in dealing with international affairs. Therefore, the US has to take action that is not self-serving and that truly helps the entire international community. However, in this current economic climate, it has produced a very self-serving act of just printing money and allowing its currency to depreciate. This leads to deep disappointment as many would have expected that the US would not, in order for itself to survive, do such a selfish act, and therefore they have lost confidence that the US is truly a global leader who will step up to the challenge in dealing with global affairs, as it is now so self-centered. Hence, another impact is the loss in confidence in the US as a global leader. Another impact of the recent currency war on Singapore is the inflation in property prices. The reason for this is because the US has depreciated its currency by pumping in huge amounts of money into the system, into the credit system. This in turn has led to a larger money supply, and thus it has caused the value of the dollar to plunge. With the low prevailing interest rates offered by the Fed, this has resulted in easy credit being available. Therefore, several investors around the world now are currently taking advantage of this by borrowing huge amounts of the US dollar, converting it to other currencies, before finally investing it in emerging markets, which are not exactly facing the brunt of the recession. Singapore is one such market. Because of the huge surge of capital suddenly, most of the money put in Singapore is going into the property market, because property in Singapore has a track record of continuing to climb in price. Hence, several investors choose to invest in private property here, which has led to the craze of which has led to the en bloc craze in the past few years. Therefore, since there is so much demand for property in Singapore, by the demand and supply mechanism of the market, the price of HDB flats, private property, will also increase naturally. Hence, it is another impact on Singapore. Another impact of the recent currency war on Singapore is that Singapore's trade competitiveness has decreased. This can be seen in terms of the fact that the Sing dollar is now more expensive in terms of other currencies. Therefore, because Singapore is a net exporter, when the Sing dollar appreciates, other nations see the Singaporean goods as being more expensive. Since they see it as more expensive, therefore lesser people will buy it. To clarify, lesser people from other countries will buy it, as the goods are not as cheap as compared to other goods, assuming all else holds constant. Another impact is the decrease in the cost of production for some sectors. Now, this is because Singapore is mainly exports resources for manufacturing, having not much natural resources except manpower. When the Sing dollar appreciates, the cost of these resources that are imported from overseas decrease, because now Other currencies are weaker when you look at it from the Sing dollar perspective. As a result, assuming oil is constant, the cost of production therefore decreases.